The new X-Men, the all new and all different X-Men have come back in a big way. In giant-sized X-Men #1, they dealt with the menace of Krakoa. And now we're on to Uncanny X-Men '94, which has one of my favorite covers of all time, with Count Nefaria looming in the background over the falling X-Men from the destroyed Blackbird, their Stratojet. Beautiful, beautiful cover. Let's get started. Like and subscribe, by the way. This is the Pop Culture Cosmonaut, and let's get started. The splash page here, Dave Cockrum is the artist on this. Chris Claremont wrote this classic material. Charles Xavier looking a hell of a lot like Yul Brynner, if y'all remember him from back in the day. Look at this. He's calling the X-Men together. But it says here at the bottom, it begins with an ending and perhaps the breaking of a man's heart. This man's heart. The heart of Charles Xavier. Oh, what's happening, Chuck? All right. Well, here it goes. Shiro, I don't understand. I thought you'd agreed to join us. Sunfire, that douche. I agreed to help you, Professor, once. Once was quite enough. My duty is to my country and my emperor. I care nothing for the world you offer. I want none of it. None of you. None of your X-Men. All right. And again, Charles is asking everyone else, and they don't feel the same way. They're not the kind of assholes as we might say Sunfire is. Ahoka, as is said in Japanese. All right. Yeah, Storm and Wolverine, they're all right. They're good. And Sunfire always has something to say. Then Sunfire bids you farewell, Professor, you and your pack of idealistic fools. But hear me, Xavier. And then in the next panel, he's flying. Who knows where he is at this point. And he's still talking. This dude is still talking. Should you need this samurai's help again, do not seek me out and do not ask, for Sunfire will refuse. Well, all right then. It's better off leaving him alone. He's just got fire powers. Whatever, man. You're replaceable with that attitude. And that stupid mask, man. Get rid of this dude. All right. He'd be a great... Has he really been a full-on villain before? He should be. Shiro Yoshida. All right. Anyways, back at the X-Men mansion, or manor, or school, as we should say. What about you, Banshee? Will you go or will you stay? And, Banshee's, he's pretty chill, I guess. He's like a stark contrast to the bitter taste of dealing with Sunfire. This guy's like a ray of sunshine, Well, I won't lie to you, Professor. I like it here, and that's the truth. And I didn't know that he was a barely literate ex-cop. And he feels he's getting old. He's even drawn with some crow's feet on his eyes. He's an aging, and the pipe. I mean, that's part of it. Smoke a pipe, you're gonna age badly. At first, he's thinking of moving on. He says here at the bottom, there's some gray among the Banshee's golden hair. It's been grand, but it's time I was moving on. All right. And again, look at what Charles says here. Rubbish. Your hair's about as gray as mine, and your brain's a fraction keener. However, these young people are too much of a challenge for you, and he's just, needling people. Anyways, he decides to stay. Of course, he's gonna stay. And on to what other X-Men have to say. Listen to Angel speaking for we. I'm sorry, Professor. There's no easy way to say this. We, the old X-Men, we're leaving, sir. We're pulling out. All right. And Professor X is beside himself. You're what? But why? Warren, Jean, all of you, why? And they've all grown up, man. They've grown. because we were children when you took us in, Professor. All right. And at they're saying that he's helped them grow up and so on. And look at what Wolverine has to say. Look, lady, you guys want out that badly? Then go. Split. Take off. What do we care? Just do us a favor and spare us the soap opera, huh? And Iceman, why you? Listen, midget, one more word out of you and I'm gonna... Oh, man, he's just coming with the talk. Oh, damn. And then, come on, try it, bub. I never carved up an icicle before. I love it. All right. Cyclops being a buzzkill. All right. Who's staying? Who's going? Havoc with the... I never understood his mask, by the way. Looks like a big bow that his daughter probably put on his head one day. And he's saying here, Scotty, I don't want to push you, brother, but what are you going to do? Are you coming with us or staying? And Cyclops doesn't really know at this point. But eventually he decides. The next day, I've thought about this all night. I've decided to stay. And Jean, wearing this fancy hat. Wow. She's on her way out. You can't be staying around the house wearing a hat like that. He says, I'm an X-Man, pure and simple. It's my home. It's where I belong. All right. And they've got their soap opera ending, as Wolverine might have said. And then, I love you. And then she's gone. And the man called Cyclops is alone. Okay, and then they all bid their farewells, waving them off out the gate. All right, and then it's back to business. All right, people, the show's over and it's time. Professor Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters was a going concern again. Time you learned what being an X-Man is all about. And here he's got him going to the danger room. This is essential for X-Men training. So here we go. And he's saying here to give you a second, maybe two, and that skill to take the time and use it to defeat your opponent. In a word, to survive. Okay? I messed that up, but I'm going to leave it going. Whatever. And they don't know what's going on. An empty room will do all that. Storm with all her powers, what's she worried about? She thinks she's a goddess, right? Okay, but I don't know. Anyways, yeah. And all of the X-Men are in for a surprise. All you got to do is cross the room. And Thunderbird goes in first. He's not worried at all and goes flying out. But, this is essential X-Men training. And this continues in basically this montage page. This is beautiful work, by the way. This is great work by Dave Cockrum. All of the X-Men in action in various stages here. There's a lot going on here. And as it says in the bottom here, that Cyclops, as the leader, he's taken on the role and he's driving them hard and training them and himself as a leader. And he takes, as it says at the very bottom here, he takes 6 proud, unique individuals, 6 loners, 6 outcasts, and forges them into a team, a fighting team. It's the X-Men. All right, they're in business, baby. All right. And in the next scene here, but even the X-Men, after all, they're only human. And they're pushed beyond their limit. They get tired and they start making mistakes. Thunderbird, John Proudstar, gets cut by a laser here. And he's feeling it. And he's not happy about it, that's for damn sure. Getting help from Banshee saying, back off, Shamrock. I don't need any help. Not from you, not from anybody. All right. Think of him yelling like the Ultimate Warrior. I could see that from this dude. All right. Yeah, he's got the tassels around his arms and all that. Anyways, yeah, so he's just keeps calling Cyclops One Eye. I'm okay, One Eye. The name is Cyclops, mister, and you're not okay. And I've got news for you, fella. If this were combat and those lasers running at full strength, you'd have lost your leg. You're careless, Thunderbird, and your carelessness could get us all killed. Oh man, here we go. Here we go. The pot is being stirred. Man, you've been riding me since the day I got here, and I've had it. You lay off me, One Eye, or do it now, or so help me, I'll rearrange your face. Yeah, there's some of that Ultimate Warrior going on. And Yul Brynner, I'm telling you, look at him, Professor X here. Cyclops, Thunderbird, cease this disgraceful display immediately. All right, and here we go. Thunderbird lamenting his situation. Way to go, Hotshot. Looks like you've blown another chance for yourself. Maybe the last one. Hey, what's the matter, lady? It bother you to work with a loser? And all of a sudden his accent changes. Yeah. I see no loser, John Proudstar. In this room, I see only a man. Man, he should have taken that as an invitation. Be like, hey, all right, Storm. I don't know. Would have changed the story a bit. And moving on to the next part here, in the mountains. This is NORAD. And look at this. I love this page. This is beautiful stuff. And deep within this mountain is the NORAD War Room. Okay. And as you see in the bottom here, just a regular day, delivering mail, and there's a package here. It's a box. And as they open it, it's got a press me button. And one of them saying, hey, maybe it's the Raquel Welch doll you wanted for Christmas, Joe. Hey, very funny, so help me. If you clowns are behind this, and he pushes it, and oh my God. And holy hell, it's the Annie-Men. They come through a portal. I'll be honest with y'all, I never thought much of the Annie-Men, but after a couple of jazz cigarettes, looking at some of these coming through a portal would be pretty damn terrifying. But the Annie-Men are lame as hell. But in this situation, yeah, this would kind of freak me out. And look at what it says at the bottom. And through that portal erupts a nightmare. 5 of them, in fact. All of them deadly. None of them even remotely human. Alright, but I don't know. There's Frogman, Birdman, Dragonfly, Catman, and Ape-Man. Alright, and Dragonfly is like the 5th wheel in this group, and she should be called Dragonfly Woman, you know, to match up with the theme, or something to that effect. She breaks up the continuity, if you know what I mean. And after they deal with some of these army dudes, they are the victors. And look at this quote here. In this, I had expected victory, true, but not so great a rout as this. I'm proud of you. Well done, my Annie-Men. Well done. All right. And Dragonfly says, what? Who speaks? Yo, I think she's kind of slow. Like literally, he was speaking for a while in plain view. She never turned around and she's wondering who the hell it is. It's her boss. It's her boss. What? Who just said that? Like, she's a damn fool. Anyways, Frogman, what do you think? Who do you think, Dragonfly? It's the boss, our lord and master. And look at this. Quite true, my dear Croaker. Count Nefaria is your lord and master. You would do well to remember that if you harbor any hopes of ever becoming human again. All right, look at Count Nefaria's get-up here. Looking like Count Dracula. He's got the monocle going on. You know that's some devious type of stuff going on in his brain to wear a monocle. But take a look at his shirt, man. He got them ruffles under his tux, looking like some corny dude on prom night in some 80s movie. That was never a good look. Come on, man. That's a clown look right there. But he's got a scepter. That's something, isn't it? A cape and a scepter. This guy's made to be a supervillain right here. But he should be wearing his usual costume. I love the Count Nefaria costume. Like a play on Superman almost. This guy looks like a serious threat. He shouldn't be wearing what he's wearing in this issue. I really wish that wasn't the case. But moving on with the story, Count Nefaria moves on with his plan. The war room is ours. And he's not worried at all. He gasses the army and neutralizes them. And look what he says. In all Valhalla base, my children, we 6 are the only ones still conscious. And once again, Count Nefaria's triumphant. This time to hold the fate of a world in his hands. And look at what he says. And look at him here smoking this long cigarette here. These fools thought me defeated, destroyed when my assault on Washington failed those many months ago. And it says here way back in X-Men 22. This is X-Men 94, by the way. So this would be many, many, many years after X-Men 22. That'd be in the 60s. That's many months ago. That kind of messes with my sense of what happened. But anyways, he escaped from prison and began planning anew, calling in old debts and using magia science to create stronger allies. Look, hold on. The magia is like the mafia, right? So what's that look like? Like, hey, pass me a freaking test tube over here. What's wrong with you? You son of a boy. Hey, come on. Bada bing. If you mess with my beakers, you didn't clean them. You didn't disinfect them. We're going to do some experiments on you one day. Hey, come on now. All right. Okay, let me move. Anyways, what is that magia science? That's crazy talk right there. Anyways, here we go. And by the way, he has some other interesting supervillains there in the bottom left. The Scarecrow, the unicorn in his old look, I believe. The eel, the porcupine, and Plant Man. Interesting look. All right. But back at the X-Men, they catch wind of what's going on here. And Professor X, just his face just appearing out of nowhere. It's freaky, man. He says, report to the briefing room. So everyone's on their way and they see Count Nefaria on the big screen. And he tells everyone, sit down, pay attention. All right. I have activated the Doomsmith command system, and I now possess operational control of America's strategic missile force. I demand a ransom from each nation on Earth, the amount to be determined by each nation's ability to pay. If my demands are not met, I shall launch America's entire inventory of nuclear missiles. That's some Dr. Evil type stuff right there. All right. And you have 3 hours to decide. And then the X-Men get in contact with others out there, like the Beast, Hank McCoy, on the screen. Looking terrifying, if I might say. That's freaky, man. And he's saying here, it's okay, Prof, if you say so. The Air Force called the Avengers for help, but we can't handle it right now. I figured the X-Men could. All right, so, I mean, I guess that answers that. Count Nefaria's got this world level, almost extinction event, and only the X-Men can show up. Alright then. So I guess we can't count on Beast now that he's with the Avengers. Alright. I gave them the brush off, I think. Alright, anyways, they're telling, look here, you heard the Beast, X-Men. Let's get going. Thunderbird, you're injured. You'll have to stay behind. Alright, and of course, he's not having it. You want to try saying that through a mouthful of knuckles, one eye? I'm going. Alright, you can't stop this dude. So here we go. They gotta take him on. Alright, Thunderbird can go. Come on. So, here we go. They're on their way. Alright, and they're in the air here. And they're confronted by Air Force here, pilots. Again, Cyclops is the one piloting. I never liked that, man. He can't see well enough to do all that. Alright? So introducing, we're not Iron Man or Cap. No, sir. The Avengers couldn't make it. We're the X-Men. Alright? And the army dude, he's not. The general saying, yeah, figures. Might have known you muties and show up around with Nefaria around. I don't really trust you, mister. But right now, I've got no choice. Alright. So here we go. I mean, what can you do? The X-Men are ready to do their thing. Alright. So, they're in here. And they know their work is cut out for them. Okay? So it says here, it's an ultimate weapon, Cyclops, a madman's dream, to be used when there's no hope of survival, when all of us are dead. It gives Nefaria absolute control over the US missile arsenal. What Nefaria doesn't know is that beyond a certain point, the system can't be shut down. The missiles will fire automatically and no power on Earth can stop them. Nefaria's deadline is 2 hours even. But you people have only 52 minutes to cancel the Doomsmith. Alright, and that's starting now. Okay, so now Dragonfly telling Count Nefaria, here they come. Alright, the X-Men are coming. The fools launch yet another futile attack. Interesting. The computer identifies the aircraft as the X-Men. By heaven, this is too rich a jest. He's got the talk, man. I love it. My greatest foes walking into my parlor like lambs going to the slaughter. And slaughter them I shall, without pity, without mercy. The fools sought Count Nefaria. Let them instead find only death. Alright, and the missiles are coming at the X-Men. And here we go. They're dodging. They're doing their best. And again, I'll give props to Cyclops, I guess. Doing their best, to get the hell out of the way. Getting out of the way of most of the missiles. But it says here, nice try, boss man, by Wolverine. Too bad one of those little futzers got away. I'd be like, futzer, what are you talking about, man? Heads up, it's boom, and there you go. They get hit. And he loses total control. They going for the eject, okay? And the Blackbird goes down, but they have their, I guess, little smaller plane. I remember in G.I. Joe they had the Blackbird toy, and they had that little shuttle type thing with it. I remember that. All right. Cyclops is thinking, okay, maybe he thinks we're dead, and maybe that gives us a chance to stop him. All right, but no, look, Count Nefaria knows. No, by all that's unholy, the X-Men still live. How many times must I kill them before those cursed mutants finally stay dead? Damn, he's losing it. His monocle just fell out his eye. All right, very well then. They will find Count Nefaria a more than worthy foe. Okay, let us see them survive Valhalla's sonic disruptors. Okay, And here we go. He hits that shuttle with this disruptor beam. And the X-Men are free falling with mountains in the background. This is a dire situation, and next issue is called War Hunt. So the all-new, all-different X-Men have returned. They've already dealt with Krakoa in Giant Size X-Men 1, and in Uncanny X-Men 94, they began their assault on Count Nefaria, the dastardly Count Nefaria. So in Uncanny X-Men 95, you see on the cover here, this is called War Hunt. And in the top right, it has the ominous message here saying, not a hoax, not a dream. This issue, an X-Man dies. This is a memorable issue, and we're gonna get right into it. This is the Pop Culture Cosmonaut. You should like, comment, and subscribe. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? All right, so let's get right into it. War Hunt. This is the splash page. All right, so look at this image here by Dave Cockrum and Sam Granger on the inks. The X-Men are free falling. Their Blackbird, their Stratojet, has been zapped by Count Nefaria's disruptor beam. And look at them all, man. This is terrifying right here. This is a great image, though. The composition of this is amazing. And look at, I love the angle of the Earth as well. It just leads to this feeling of total disorientation. And you see here, as in the next page here, Cyclops is thinking, oh my God. Think, Cyclops, think. You can't give up now. And I'm going to read this clockwise, the blue square rectangles here. Memories first, flashing insanely, kaleidoscopically across Cyclops' mind as he falls. Memories of how the Beast had contacted the X-Men, and the X-Men had flown, moving on to the left side here, to tell them that Count Nefaria and his Ani-Men had taken over NORAD headquarters and gained control over America's nuclear arsenal, that Nefaria was holding the world for ransom. And it says again, the X-Men had flown to stop him, and Nefaria had shot them out the sky twice. And now the X-Men are falling to their death. Their mission, a total washout. Alright, so things have gone from bad to worse for the new X-Men, and they're all falling. And look at this. They have the wherewithal to chat on the way down about what they're gonna do. I love it, man. They're having a full-on conversation in the air. Alright, and they're explaining why they can't do certain things. Nightcrawler can't just teleport to the ground. And Cyclops expects him to be able to do that. Look at what it says here. Each of you grab a pair of X-Men and head for the ground. Nightcrawler can teleport. And then Nightcrawler interrupts him saying, but I cannot, Cyclops. Not from here. And he says, what? What? And he explains that if he teleports, he's going to still fall at the same velocity as he is now. So he would still get splattered on the ground. But you know, Storm got the skills to pay the bills right about here. And he said, and she says next to him, do not worry, Kurt. I can carry you and Colossus easily. Of course she can. She got the powers for this. And as they continue falling, look at Colossus. He's not worried at all. He goes into a straight-on dive. And he's not worried. He says, no, I can get down on my own. Banshee's not strong enough to carry everybody. He's grabbing onto Thunderbird, John Proudstar. All right. And Cyclops is just falling, man. And, you know, everyone else is taken care of. Wolverine and Nightcrawler hanging on to Storm's cape. But Cyclops got nowhere to go. He's waiting. He's like, all right, Banshee, see you around. Just don't take too long. Cyclops lands like a missile. But he's all good. He ain't worried at all. Storm, Wolverine, and Nightcrawler gently float on down to the ground. And Cyclops is still falling. And he's like, okay, come on, Banshee. All right. He's starting to sweat bullets. 12 seconds away. Uh-oh. Impact -5 seconds. And he's actually thinking he's going to buy the farm. He starts hitting tree branches and all that. And then Banshee comes in at the last moment. All right. And then, Banshee was like, yeah, of course. I was always going to pick you up. He says, laddie, did you really think I'd let a fine broth of a boy such as yourself get splattered all over that cold, cold mountain? It's a pretty good accent. I think that's pretty good Irish. I don't know. If, somebody might not think so. Hey, I'm working on it. Oh, ye of little faith. And then Cyclops got no mood. He's back to business. And then, deciding, look, we've got less than an hour, according to the general. We've got to deactivate the Doomsmith system, the missile arsenal under Nefaria's control. Otherwise, all the missiles are going to be fired all over the world. But they've got to get inside the base. All right, and of course, Thunderbird always got something to say here. How you going to do that, One Eye? You got a key that'll crack open a mountain? And Cyclops is got to be done with this dude at this point. As a matter of fact, Thunderbird, I do. And the name is Cyclops, mister, not One Eye. Understand? How many times has he said that already to Thunderbird? Like, stop calling me One Eye, man. All right. But Nightcrawler's got the power set to help sneak in and open up the base for his X-Men buddies. All right. So, Kurt Wagner, Nightcrawler teleports into the base, and he thinks it's all good. All right. I think it's as good as done. I'm inside Valhalla at any rate. Okay, my German accent's not great. I'll have to work on that. And he's looking around trying to figure out what he's going to do, and then bam! He gets hit from behind and gets a talking to. And who is it? It's Frogman. It's the Frogman. All right. And Frogman is surprised. He thinks he hit him hard enough to flatten a dozen men. All right. And Frogman's on the attack here. But Nightcrawler's got his mouth running too. His agents will have to do a far better job than you are doing, Herr Frosch. And one thing I love about comic books is that I might learn some words that I otherwise wouldn't know. Like Frosch being frog in German. I didn't know that. All right. So he's calling him out as a frog. Not even, and Frogman doesn't like that. Don't call me that. I ain't no frog. I ain't no freaking mutant like you. I'm a man. All right. But, he's not ready to deal with Nightcrawler's skill set here. Teleporting right behind him and just knocking him out cold. All right. Good job, Nightcrawler. All right. And then, seeing what happens, Nefaria is enraged. Croaker, you unmitigated idiot. Calling the dude Croaker. He called him that in the other issue, too. And the others are wondering, okay, now what? Let's go after them. Let's go after Nightcrawler, says Catman. But Nefaria's not worried. He says, no, let him be. I have other surprises in store for the X-Men. All right, and at this point, Nightcrawler's opened up the hatch for the base. And they've got their entrance. They've got their way in. Once they're in, though, they've got a bit of a concern here. Banshee and Cyclops are perspiring heavily, saying, is it my imagination, lad? Or is it getting a bit stuffy in here? And they're right. And Thunderbird saying, Irish has a point, One Eye. I feel kind of woozy myself. And I felt this way before. And then this gas cloud enveloping them, choking, blistering, blinding, tearing at their skin like acid, tearing at their minds. This is a great image, by the way. The silhouettes surrounded by this cloud of gas. But then they get the hell out of there. They are able to smash through a wall into the next tunnel. And look at their collective efforts here. Thunderbird, Wolverine, Cyclops, and Colossus doing their part. Yeah, but now they've got to deal with some of the soldiers in the NORAD base. Okay, and as they're saying here in this panel, let's see here, Cyclops is saying, we can't hurt those soldiers. They're not responsible for their attack. Look at them, they've been hypnotized. Alright, so I think Dragonfly Lady, as I'm gonna call her, Dragonfly Woman, hypnotized all these the soldiers on this NORAD base. Alright, but Storm puts it down, gets her elemental powers involved, wind, running water, all of that just flooding the space, and these soldiers are just swept away, and they're out of here. Okay, useful to have Storm around to do stuff like that, man. All right, so they're a non-factor. All right, but the Ani-Men are lurking around. All right. So Catman and Ape-Man, also known as Gort, they see the X-Men, walking on through single file. And then Ape-Man jumps on Thunderbird's shoulders, straight up grabs him by his shirt. And look at Thunderbird saying, Banshee, look out, he's gonna throw me. Oh my God. All right, and look at that, he just gets whipped right into Banshee. And then it says here at the bottom, the fight has barely begun, and already 2 X-Men are out for the count. That's a bad omen. Man, 2 X-Men out of the fight. Alright, now the rest of the remaining X-Men, they're up against 5 of the Ani-Men here. Alright, and Cyclops is saying, look, man, we haven't time to be gentle, X-Men. Take them down, and take them down hard. Alright, but there's a problem. Easier said than done, Cyclops. Because though both sides are numerically equal, the Ani-Men are fresh, ungassed, eager for the kill, and the X-Men are not. Maybe so, but I still think the X-Men far overpower them, don't they, in the end? Anyways, the battle goes on, but look at what it says. Thus, in the beginning, weakness, fatigue, the surprise and ferocity of the ambush all take their deadly toll, and the battle quickly goes against the X-Men. And Catman is the first to lay it down for the Ani-Men. Look at this right uppercut he's delivering to Logan. And he's saying, you think you're some hotshot with those metal claws, huh, mutie? Well, my claws ain't fake. They're real. Okay, and they can kill. Okay, but Colossus jumps in, grabs him up, and just wallops him. All right. Again, I don't see why Colossus and Storm and Wolverine in particular shouldn't be able to deal with these dudes. But hey, you got to stretch out the story a bit, I suppose. All right, now Frogman trying to get up on Nightcrawler again. But Cyclops has now blasted him with his optic beam. And he's no problem anymore. But look, Birdman jumps into the fray. And it's too late for Cyclops, right? Birdman flying away with him within his talons. Look at that. But Nightcrawler comes into the scene. Nightcrawler's been pulling his weight in this comic. I kind of give him a bit of crap for kind of like, you know, ducking out and teleporting out of trouble all the time. But he's actually earning his keep. All right. But who's left? It's Ape-Man, and he's the real heavy hitter. And look at what Wolverine's saying. Heads up, you guys. Here comes that Road Company Hulk. And he looks loaded for bear. Anyone kind of confused? Like, what are you talking about, Wolverine? Loaded for bear. Okay, I never heard that expression. Alright, but look. Storm, man. I'm telling you, Storm should be able to deal with all of these people. She hits him with some electricity. Okay. Wolverine using this word futzer again. Son of a gun, the futzer's still on his feet. He used that in the last issue. What the hell's a futzer? I mean, what kind of slang is he talking, man? Alright. And look at this. Nightcrawler and Wolverine both punching him. What happened to Wolverine's claws? He could have just shish kebabbed him right there. Yeah, but they deal with Ape-Man right there. And then Dragonfly is still around. She realizes that the Ani-Men are defeated. But she's trying to hypnotize Cyclops here. And she is succeeding. Okay? Cyclops, his mind is being taken over. And you can see here, even his eye. His eyes are blank, but beneath or behind his ruby quartz visor. His eyes are wide open. Alright, now I guess maybe when he opens his eyes that way, automatically his visor raises and then BAM! Right? Full blast from his optic beams right at Dragonfly. Alright, and the Ani-Men are done. There you go, and Cyclops wrapping it up. We've beaten the Mountain and we've beaten Nefaria's Ani-Men. All that's left now is the good Count himself, and we're home free. Doomspith minus 18 minutes. They got 18 minutes left. But wait a minute, where are Banshee and Thunderbird? They're both out cold, as Wolverine says. That gorilla wasted them pretty good. Okay, and they decide, look, we'll have to leave them here. We haven't the time to wake them up. We've got to get to Nefaria and the Doomsmith system. But it says here they are too late. And no, says Cyclops, Nefaria's locked the Doomsmith system into the self-destruct circuit. It's armed and counting, and there's no way on Earth we can shut it off in time. Alright, look at this. 9 minutes left. Self-destruct on the monitor. So things are looking very, very bad. But look, 2 of these X-Men are stirring up back to consciousness. Me aching back, says Banshee. Yeah, and they're both wondering what the hell is going on. They're waking up in the middle of some chaos. Okay. And then, as they end up in the next panel here, look at Count Nefaria running towards a jet, okay, in the hangar level of Valhalla base. The fools. The X-Men think Count Nefaria is beaten, that they've won. But the very moment of their victory will be the moment of their death. The moment of Nefaria's greatest triumph. Alright, the self-destruct system will blow this mountain and all in it to the deepest pits of hell. And when that happens, Count Nefaria will be long gone. And then he is interrupted by Thunderbird and Banshee. And look at this. I recognize them from the monitor screens. They're 2 of the X-Men. Okay, and Thunderbird saying, hey Irish, get a load of this. Looks like that Nefaria dude's bugging out on his compadres. Alright. I like his dialogue, man. Thunderbird got some funny stuff to say sometimes, man. Alright, but oh, you're too late, mutants. You'll never stop me now. And I'm gonna have to say what Thunderbird says from here on out. Alright, this is your time, John Proudstar. He's taken off. Once he gets airborne in that Harrier, there's not a crate in this mountain that can stop him. Yeah, maybe not a plane, but a man can do what a plane can't. And he jumps onto this Harrier jet. Alright? And look, Banshee saying, Thunderbird, no! And Thunderbird is just that man. Don't go away, Neffy baby, 'cause John Proudstar's coming to get you, and he's a man that don't give up. Alright, and Banshee flying behind saying, "Are you crazy, lad? Get off the plane, Thunderbird. I can stop him with a sonic blast, but you've got to get off." Alright, the panic, but you know, he can't be heard. Even Banshee probably can't be heard with his loud ass voice. He's right on top of a jet here. Alright, Wolverine and Cyclops still in the control room saying, "Psych, we're running out of time, we gotta go." Okay, and Cyclops doing what he can here. "How far do you think we'd get in 5 minutes, Wolverine? Because that's all the time we've got. Our only chance, the world's only chance, is to try and shut the system down." Meanwhile, Professor X says, "Cyclops, what are you doing?" And then, "What? Professor, the Doomsmith." And then Professor X schools him and updates him on this. "It's totally out of commission. I've mentally scanned the system. Your battle with the Ani-Men destroyed the command relays and the backups." That's good news, isn't it? That's great news. The Doomsmith has been shut down. Okay, but enough of that. You must get outside the mountain, and quickly. You've an X-Man in mortal danger. And then they're on the move. They all rush out, as it says, and the X-Men move as only X-Men can. But events outside are moving as well, too far and too fast. Nefaria's scared here. "You madman, you'll kill us both." Okay, and Charles Xavier steps in saying, "John Proudstar, get off the airplane before it's too late." And look at what he says here, these words by Thunderbird himself. "But out, Baldy, I'm through taking orders. I've been a loner all my life, Xavier, an outcast, dumped on by everybody I met. But I'm a man, Xavier, a warrior of the Apache, and today I'm gonna prove it." And Banshee saying, "For God's sake, laddie, get off the plane." And as it flies off into the distance, John Proudstar's hands rip deep into the Harrier's cockpit, ravaging control systems, computers, electronic hardware, ripping the technic nervous system out of the aircraft. It's a pounding that no plane was designed to take. Sooner or later, something has to give. And they rush out, Cyclops saying, "There they are. Storm, get after them. Give Banshee a hand." Well, I don't think Storm can reach in time. Oh my God. And Xavier saying, "Thunderbird, no! Get out, boy! Get out!" Cyclops, the aircraft, I can see it, Peter. You, Cyclops, and one other. Professor Xavier, in the mind of John Proudstar, sees the explosion firsthand. And this explosion destroys the plane, destroys the life of an X-Man. The scenario ends now as it began, with the breaking of Charles Xavier's heart and the twisting of his soul, for in the end, he could not desert his pupil. And all John Proudstar felt, Charles Xavier felt as well, with only one difference. Charles Xavier is still alive. And Banshee, filled with regret, I guess. "I begged him, laddie, I pleaded with him, but he wouldn't get off the plane, he wouldn't get off." And Cyclops saying, "I know, Banshee, it wasn't your fault. I suppose it had to happen sometime. Hell, Sooner or later, it happens to all of us in this business. It comes with the uniform. And that's the end of the issue. And I have to say, Thunderbird's death always intrigued me. For this character to only appear in 3 issues and to die so early in his X-Men tenure, that was a bold decision by the writers, really was. And I think it was a great move. It just set the tone, set the stage for the seriousness of what these X-Men do and what they're involved in. What's interesting I found is that in these 3 issues, from Giant X-Men #1 until this one, I almost feel like he was the most developed of the new characters. I don't know. Is it just me? I mean, he was a troublesome loudmouth. He was careless. He was unreliable. You know, but there was something there. He even had a pretty boring power set or skill set. But personality-wise, he brought something to the table, and he definitely brought conflict and a bit of fire and electricity. One thing I gotta say, the end of this issue, I think this death was depicted very dramatically, and they did a great job with Xavier's reaction to it. But Cyclops' reaction to it, kinda, I don't know. He's kinda saying, well, hey, you know, someone's gotta die sometimes. He doesn't really seem too shook up about it. And I know he had problems with John Proudstar. They were beefing from day one. You know, and as I don't know, insensitive as he kind of seems in this ending, I guarantee in the next issue after that, which we're not going to cover, that issue starts with him really kind of feeling it in his soul, remembering the death of John Proudstar. An X-Man who didn't last very long, but I think he made his impact while he was around. There you go, all of y'all. That was the return of the X-Men in 1975. And it was a triumphant return, if I don't mind myself saying. And remember, this was done without Magneto as the antagonist. He hasn't shown up yet at all. So they brought the X-Men back mostly on the strength of these new heroes that they introduced. Colossus, Nightcrawler, Thunderbird, okay, Storm, Wolverine, Banshee, and some of them had appeared before, but never quite like this. So, this was the pop culture cosmonaut. Once again, we'll be back another time with another hit. But until then, we're out of here.